Hello guys, we will discuss in this session particularly on central finance and how CFIN can help you to get your start to the potential digital journey. So whenever I say CFIN, it is central finance and it is S4 HANA central finance. So I'll explain you what difference is all about. So before we go into the topic, this is a high level agenda. We will talk about the deployment scenarios in S4 HANA. We will talk about what S4 HANA and central finance is. Of course, I will introduce you to central finance, its features, limitations, and how the architecture looks like. And then we will have a discussion on central payments, and then how should you plan a digital journey with the following options like transform, sustain, run, and automate. These are the path to you start your digital journey. So let's get started. Before that, I will just take 30 seconds of you. I will just introduce myself before you understand what central finance is. Let me make you aware what the experience, what the speaker is about. I'm into SAP architecture and design and consulting from almost 14 plus years now. I have done almost 25 plus projects of various size and shapes. And from S4 HANA, I'm involved since the product came in. And I have been specialized in central finance, migration strategy, enterprise architecture, and S4 HANA architecture. Also, I have authored a book, 60 plus videos are there on YouTube and 35 plus blogs on blogs.sap.com on these topics. So before we go into central finance, I'll just talk about the migration, the options of deployment in central finance. So the first option is greenfield implementation, another is the migration scenario, and the third is central finance. So whenever an organization wants to think about how to deploy S4 HANA, these are the options. We will not focus on 1 and 2 today. We will only focus on third one. That's a key topic for discussion today. So central finance is basically a non-disruptive approach towards the transition where you are on ECC, you are on S4, or you are on non-SAP systems. You want to migrate to, or I would not say migrate, you want to centralize your business operations from system ERP perspective. So what you need to do is, it's a non-disruptive approach. You can simply move from your different multiple systems into one system, and it is very fruitful. Of course, I would not say it's not beneficial for one single ERP. I have a discussion planned in next 15 or 20 minutes about how single ERP can be the use case. But for now, we will talk about the real architecture where we can combine ECC and non-SAP systems into one system, and you can get advantage even you have heterogeneous landscape. It doesn't follow a very specific different release. What S4 HANA is central finance is. So the latest release is FPS 2.1909 release on May 6th, and central finance is a specific business function which you can activate in S4 HANA environment. So let's talk about what central finance and S4 HANA is. Is CFIN a product? Is CFIN a scenario, or is CFIN an option? So if you see on the right hand side, CFIN is just a stepping stone. You just step to S4 HANA. It's a bridge from your current state to S4 HANA state. What happens is, when you implement CFIN, you replicate. When we say replicate, you bring all your data, and what data I will talk about in few minutes. You bring your reportable data into your S4 HANA box. Then on that data, you implement your transactional processes, for example, payments, credit management. That's S4 HANA finance. And then once your finance processes, your finance organization is stable, and your reporting is happening, financial reporting from your S4 HANA system, then you plan to implement logistics. You bring your materials management, you bring your production planning, you bring your sales and distribution, or you bring your other corporate functions or your logistics functions, including purchases, into S4 HANA. So at the end, it is S4 HANA. It is not central finance. Central finance is just a deployment option. It's a stepping stone when you move from your current state, ECC or non-SAP, you plan to move to S4 HANA. What license are needed? This is a very frequent question which comes. Okay, what type of license do I need? So of course you need S4 HANA license for sure, because that's a base. Your instances, your installation will happen of S4 HANA. Then you need a separate license for central finance. then you have to activate it via business function, and then you also need your SAP landscape transformation replication server, which is known as SLT. It helps in transformation, your data movement, your reading of mappings from multiple ERPs, ECC or non-SAP. It's always SLT, which is the middleware. So these are the licenses. Then we talk about features and limitations. So when we talk about features, there are several features in S4HANA in Central Finance. First is real-time replication. You have the data posted in ECC. When I say ECC, it is always any source system. It can be non-SAP system as well. It can be ECC, and then it helps you in simplified reporting. You can bring your reports out of S4HANA. Single source of consolidation. You have different data models in source system. You have different format. You have different GL accounts. Some are 6 digits, some are 8 digits, but you can harmonize it in your Central Finance. Non-destructive migration to S4HANA, you don't have a cutover, you don't have a stopping of businesses because you are implementing S4HANA. You can continue, you don't change anything at the start of the cycle. And then you implement your central processes like central payment, in-out cash, central receivables, cash management, and other features. So those are the features. But at the same time, as you know, everything comes with positive, but it also adds some negatives. So there are still few limitations in the product itself, which are still not supported. And of course, there might be on SAP roadmap, but as of now, if you talk about today, those are not available. So first is asset accounting. Data accounting documents for asset accounting are not replicated. They just come into the GL format, not in actual subledger format. Recurring entries are not replicated. Park documents are not replicated. Posting to CO and FI reconciliation ledger are not replicated. And year-end closing postings are not replicated. So these are the limitations. Of course, when you design your processes, you have to keep in mind these limitations because these are very important. If something you plan, you have to ensure that the product support about it. Otherwise, you go into customizations and then you bring your lot of depth in your organization, and then you maintain that your all old customizations over a long period of time. And they also bring you pain when you upgrade the system because the release is coming every year. So what is replicated? So as I mentioned, when I say central finance replication, it replicates your accounting documents, it replicates your controlling documents, it replicates your internal orders, production order, product cost collectors, it replicates your profit center documents, it replicates your WBS, it now replicates in 1909, it also replicates your activity rates and material cost estimate. So these are all data being replicated from ERP system. It goes into central S4HANA system. So if you see on the right hand side, it is S4HANA, but on top of that you have a function called Central Finance Accounting Interface, and then you have business mappings, which I will talk about, and also the error handling, which is coming up in terms of discussion. This is a technical architecture. You connect your source systems to SLT, and then your SLT is connected to S4HANA, and below your S4HANA you have a SAP HANA database, and on top you have a master data governance, and master data governance is only needed when you really want to implement full-fledged governance model rather than just data management. So you have to understand the difference between master data management and master data governance. So Central Finance requires master data management, but it is good to have the governance because if tomorrow you create a GL account in ECC, that GL account has to come to S4 and then you have to map also because otherwise the transaction will fail. So to control that process, yes, you should implement master data governance. That's a recommendation. Solution architecture. You have your source systems, you have different data objects. So you see some are moving through iDocs, some are going through SLT. When I say iDocs is a traditional movement, I should not talk about much on iDocs because you are from SAP background. And then SLT, it takes data into accounting interface. But at the end, everything lands into S4HANA system, your central finance system, everything is going here, and where your accounting is getting stored in AC Docker table, which is your universal JE. Then let's talk about initial load and replication. So what is initial load and what is replication? These are the two core concepts of any CFIN project. So initial load is one-time exercise. When you go live, you plan to implement, bring your accounting data for reporting purposes. For example, you're going live in 1st August. So now you say, okay, I want my full year reporting in my P&L and balance sheet in CFIN system. So what should I do? So you have an option of bringing your data from, let's say your fiscal year start January. You bring in from January to July in terms of initial load, and then from 1st August you start replication. So you have to, when you say initial load, it is not just accounting document, you have to bring everything because master data has to be there before you post accounting document. It's one-time activity and very performance intensive. It uses RFC connections, it uses SLT connections, and then once you complete your initial load, you have a real-time replication being working on ongoing basis. As and when the document is posted in ECC, it gets replicated to S4 HANA system in Central Finance mode. And here I'm saying uses AIF. I will discuss about what AIF in few minutes from now. Now AIF. So that's what we were talking, AIF error handling. So what happens is when your data is replicated, it passes through a window. It's application interface framework. When any data is posted in ECC, it passes through AIF. Then it generally moves into AIF after either pass or fail. It moves into the actual tables. If it is pass, if it moves, if it is fail, then it stop there. You have to take an action. Maybe you need to correct your system configuration, you need to change your admit data, you need to create mappings. It can be of several type of errors. I have listed some examples like data error, mapping error, functional error, or technical error. And when your project completes and it's a standing organization, you need to set up with the team which is needed who will monitor and coordinate. So it is not just a project exercise, but also when your project is complete, there should be a team who should manage, who should actually, I should say, monitor the errors every day. And the size of the team, of course, it depends 1% or 20%. It depends on the source number of source system, data volume being passed every day, how well your governance is there on the data. All those things are important. So this is AIF. Let me talk about quickly on central payments. So central payment is a functionality in central finance itself. What happened? It is a stepping stone next. So once you complete your replication, now you decide, okay, we will do the transaction processing from S4 HANA system. In that case, what you do, this is the first thing you do. And especially in shared service environment. So now if you see the diagram, what happens is your AR and AP invoices are posted in ECC. They get cleared itself. Cleared means they are not paid. They are just saying marked as cleared. And with the normal replication process, they get replicated into S4 HANA space. So now you see that the box changes. It comes on the right hand side. And there you make your payments. You are making your AP payment, you are making your AR payments, and then you are doing all payments and you are doing payment reporting. Your DSO, DPO reporting will happen from S4. The benefit it provides is you can centralize your payment function rather than making bank files into several formats. Because you have 10 ECC system, you can centralize and make one file. You can streamline your payment processes. You don't need so many people to make payment because you are paying for multiple countries, multiple systems. You can just pay it from one system. So that's how the process is centralized. You multiple boxes, you bring into one, and then you just do the further processing. So that's a central payment, and this is the stepping stone towards S4 HANA Finance. If you remember the box I showed you here, let me go back. This one here. So we have replicate, we do central finance. When we do financial transactions S4 HANA Finance, here the central payment is falling in the green box. So yellow box is replication, green box is central payments, and then after your, now when I say central payment, it also means your credit management, your reporting function, everything should fall in financial transaction and reporting perspective in this green box. And then from logistics perspective, you can broaden your S4 HANA processes in future. But you can use the same box. It is your core transactional box where all your transaction will land, because at this point you have already centralized your finance transaction. You can bring in your logistic business also, and of course you can connect it to several cloud applications or several on-premise applications based on your business requirement, because that should be your part of digital journey. For example, you say, okay, I'll connect Ariba to S4. I'll connect success factors to S4. I'll connect any other, for example, Hybris to S4. You connect all your applications or platforms on top of core system. So that was about central payment. Let me move. So planning a digital journey. So first understand what is digital journey. Digital journey is using a technology? No. Is it using new tools? No. Is it using a cloud? No. Some people say, okay, I'm on cloud, so we are very digital. Sending emails instead of paper, is it a digital journey? No. Using calculators instead of working manually, if you want to do 2 plus 2 4, are you using calculator or Excel? Is it a digital journey? No. At the end, you have to use technology to deliver business value to the customers. Delivering customer continuous value to the partners, which include customers, employees, and vendors, is a digital journey. At the end, that matters. That will run your business. That's a core of your business. That's the heart of your business. So that's a digital journey. Now, how should we plan that? So when central finance processes starts, of course, at every step there will be architectural changes, and I will talk about it. What architectural changes in all 4 phases? We have 4-step method: transform, sustain, run, and innovate. This is not something from standard SAP. Based on my experience in SAP different central finance project, I have built out this format. Transform means we just talked about. You do initial load, you do replication, and then of course you do architectural changes. When you do sustain, you focus on CFIN reporting and you try to minimize your errors. You deep dive your processes of vendor master, customer master, GL master, implement governance, and you do little bit of process mining in that space. And then you run, where you implement the process, like central payment. I just gave example, credit check. You do group reporting for your consolidation. You do analytics cloud, SAP analytics cloud, or SAC for planning purposes. And then you innovate once your platforms, your core is set up, your systems are landscape is in place, transactions are up and running. Now you simplify your processes, you redesign your finance organization, you automate, you implement robotics, you implement AI, you implement ML, machine learning. So this is step 1. Transform. What you do there, these are the architectural changes. At this stage, what you do is you have your sources ECC system, you have initial load and replication being going in S4 HANA system. So you focus on data replication. All your data correctly should move to S4 HANA, and your connectivity should be good. Your source system also should be stable in terms of performance, and your S4 HANA should be stable. So you do multiple test cycles, and then you cut over and you bring into your final go live stage, and your HANA database is playing a key role here. So this is at this point of transform where you just implementing processes. It is mostly, you can say, at a project stage. Then you come to the sustain, where you also implement online replication, as well as you do your root cause analysis for your error handling. So if you see on the right hand side, now the scenario changes. You are just not getting errors, you are also analyzing them, you are doing root cause analysis, and also you are doing reporting from the S4 HANA system. So you can implement group reporting even, but yeah, at the end your accounting, your financial reporting should happen from S4 system, because all your transactions are coming into this system. And then the last stage is the run, or I'm sorry, not the last stage, the second last stage. In the run process, what you do, if you see now on the left hand side, the processes are crossed out. So processes are crossed out in left hand side and moving towards right hand side. So your AR process, AP process, GL, financial closing, or planning, allocations, intercompany consolidations, all have been moved towards right hand side. So you have implemented SAC, you have implemented what should a group reporting, all those have been implemented. Processes are stable, and of course replication is going on, but at the same time all your key processes have been shifted to S4 HANA. So this is a green box we talked about, where your S4 HANA finance is being fully utilized. You are doing financial transactions in your S4 HANA system. And after this, the last stage comes, from this methodology where you automate, you do simplification, you do automation, you do several other steps in order to ensure that your processes are stable and giving value benefit financial. And also you have to understand that now you are ready for your bigger S4 journey. You can bring in logistics now because your finance is complete. So from that green box you can move to the next box where your S4 HANA finance is done, plus logistics you have to add now. So now you can start your journey to bring in logistic processes. You can start purchases, sales, and of course HR and other processes. So that's how, if you see central finance, process by process we move, architectural changes come. So it is very important to have a right architecture guidance during the implementation, and then you go ahead with the changes and you implement right processes at the right time. Don't try to very over speedy where you in the process of sustain you start implementing processes and you bring some loss to the business, because business is running in the core ECC systems. So you have to safeguard those systems and you don't just jump on to change some things. Now let's talk about single ERP use case, CFIN use case with single ERP system. So SAP deployment, central finance is a deployment option where multiple ERPs are supported, but it's not that single ERP cannot work. It is one of the use case. The single ERP always plan to migrate to S4 HANA. Scenario 2, if you remember, first one was greenfield, second one was migration. So every customer, what I see most of the times is, if they are single ERP, they say, yeah, we will migrate to S4. But is it the only option? There are some cons for that, and there are some cons for a central finance. So let's do that comparison. If you see the comparison table, if you do migration, it is good that you don't have a dual maintenance of system, because you just have one system to maintain. Today it is ECC, tomorrow it is S4. But other than that, you miss the process improvement opportunities. You have 10,000 customizations, you still have to carry those customizations unless you make a big investment. But in central finance, you can reduce those. Reducing and sunsetting old custom codes, yes, you can change your processes even if you are implementing a new system. And disruption to business and implementation approach, of course, migration is disruptive and central finance is non-disruptive. And phased implementation approach. If you are just migrating, of course, you have to migrate in one shot. But in S4 HANA Central Finance, you can think, okay, this process, this is how I want you migrate, and then you go process by process. You can, in one shot you can go. And then in central finance also you can, in terms of benefit, you can filter technical debt, there is no disruption, implement new processes at ease at your own time, and then you can also vary phased implementation. So there are some benefits. I see more benefits, and customer has done that. So this is one of the very good use case to implement central finance, rather than we just always say, okay, if I have multiple systems, then only I will go to central finance. No, that's not the case. You have options. So before I go to closing remarks, I will just summarize. Central finance overall is a part of S4 HANA. It's a deployment option, and it will facilitate you start your digital journey. You move from current systems to S4 HANA Central Finance, then you start implementing finance processes, then you start implementing logistics. CFIN is a product, as I said, is still evolving. Every year the release comes, more things are added. So you should not consider that if something is today, it should not need meeting my requirement, then I should not think. No, it may meet your requirement in 2020 release. And when new releases are coming, of course, each release adds some functionality, and from architecture perspective, it is always wise to be on latest version to minimize technical debt and use latest functionalities. In my experience, I have done 5 CFIN projects. I have never seen CFIN project in simple way to go. They are always complex and critical. Initial load timelines always put the project out of track unless planned very effectively with the involvement of experts with PMO. Initial load, what happens? You have to do initial load for accounting documents, you have to do initial load for orders, you have to do for CO document, and then error resolution. Millions of documents move based on your scenario, if you are going live in August or going live in December or going live in February. Millions of documents move. All the errors have to be resolved. It takes several hours to load the data. So PMO says, okay, in one day we complete initial load for one company. No, that's not possible. So it has to be planned very effectively, otherwise your whole project plan will be out of the track. And still several implementations are in progress, more and more to come. and based on the benefits customers have achieved with the CFIN. So I'm very much with CFIN. I have seen customers getting commercial benefit, getting process benefit, getting simplified, and then of course it provides opportunities and non-disruptive approach. So this is my say on Central Finance. Thank you for your time. And just to tell you about myself, I'm available at several modes. I have a website, email ID, LinkedIn, I'm there, Twitter. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm also available in blog.people.sap.com. If you see here, I have a lot of videos on Central Finance specific on my channel. And here I have like more than 35 blogs on CFIN specific on blogs.sap.com. So stay tuned. Any questions you have, go to my channel and you can put the video on the comment section. You can just put the question and I will be happy to answer that. And of course, please do share your learning as well. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.